Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to this astrological update for our Awakened Creators community. My name is Amanda, and if you are new to this channel and this family, welcome home. I'm so glad to have you here, so glad that you are starting to open up to recognizing your creative potential and your creative essence as being worthy of your time, attention, and love. This is an update for Libra season for 2021. So we are in mid to late September, going into mid to late October with Libra season this year, from the 22nd of September to the 22nd of October to be exact. And this video is really going to just be a breakdown of the energies as I see them affecting us in this creative community. So it is gonna have a more creative bent to it in terms of the advice and information that we share. However, it's still a valid energetic update for those of you who aren't as creatively inclined, or perhaps you are and haven't yet tapped that well, so to speak, which is why you're here guided to this video. So if that maybe sounds like the case, if that rings sort of true for you, you might want to stay tuned and see if this messages resonate. So I recently shared on my Instagram at awaken.creators my guide for Libra season for 2021. And my guide for Libra season in terms of embodiment in your creative practice really involved two major themes. And one of those, I'll say three major themes. One of those themes sort of got broken down into two areas, but it was indicative of restoring balance, which is very typical of Libran energy. When you are presented with the archetype of Libra, it is often presented as a restoration of balance. And this is important because Libra energy is intended to embody that elevated perspective, being an air sign, of finding equilibrium. So we are balancing what? Well, in general, we are balancing our lives. We are balancing our relationships, especially Libra being, a very relational sign. And so I want to encourage you and all of the Awakened Creators community to really look at that during this time and look for opportunities to bring balance to your relationships, especially relationships that have an impact on your creative output. So if there are business partnerships that you are in, if there are creative partnerships that you're in, if there's relationships with people in your support circle, you want to really look at those and look for opportunities to bring more balance to situations. So say, for example, you have a creative partner that is always leaving you high and dry, or maybe you just feel like you're carrying more weight than you should have to. That is a call for restoration of balance. Now, you want to be careful, though, that you are not seeing the situation through the eyes of passionate emotion or ego, which could get you into a further imbalanced situation. Remembering that Libra is an air sign, it is intended to be an elevated, high-minded perspective, a non-emotional, not cold, but just not driven by the boilings and bubblings of our internal emotions, but rather from a more elevated perspective that can really see things and how they would benefit all parties, right? This is why Libra energy is sometimes compared to concepts of justice, because it's intended to see it from this higher perspective as to what would benefit the most people. So when you are making those rebalancings in your life, just keep that in mind, that you don't want to push and shove people away or towards you based on emotions or ego, okay? So that's one thing. And then of course you want to look for equilibrium in just the more mundane. So if, for example, you leave everything to the last minute and you're not really seeing a lot of progress, maybe that's something you noticed during Virgo's fine, meticulous examination of your daily life. You noticed some things that were not getting accomplished. This would be a time to maybe elevate the responsibility, the structure, the planning. If maybe you're the opposite and you're always planned, always super, organized, and it's stressing you out, that would be then a call for that opposite energy, right? To slow things down a little bit, prioritize according to your needs and what you wish to accomplish. And in that vein, what I really felt called to also mention is the call for a more peaceful environment. All throughout Libra season, I want you to look at your creative process from a perspective of, how can I make my creative process more peaceful? In what ways can I add beauty, right? Because Libra is ruled by Venus. So we want to bring in beauty and sensual love and all those kind of beautiful aesthetics to our creative environment. So if it's that maybe you want fresh flowers in your studio or in the space where you create to inspire you. Maybe you want to start playing music and creating to music rather than creating in silence. Maybe you want a more comfortable chair to sit in as you write, Where are there places where you can add some more peace, some more beauty, some more comfort, some more love to your creative process? Look for those opportunities this season and you will definitely benefit in the long term. And then lastly, I mentioned staying open. Libra is a very open energy. Venusian energy is very open. That's that high-minded perspective, that objectiveness. We're willing to hear all opinions from a non-emotional, non-reactive state, right? So this can be really important for you during this time if you're facing any kind of critique situations, or you're collaborating with other people. Maybe you're working on a commission piece and you're getting some feedback on your creativity. This is really important, and Libra energy can teach you how to do this. So this is a great time. This is a synchronized time for you to really start to practice receiving feedback from an objective, higher-minded perspective, not emotions. We're not reactive from ego. We are in a place of high-minded observation of the feedback being received. And the more that we can stay in this open state, the more productive this feedback will be to us. Now, this isn't to say you let people, trample all over you. That's kind of the shadow side of Libra, is when things go boop, boop, right? So you can be wishy-washy, going back and forth, not knowing what to do, what to decide. You could be really low on prioritizing any of your needs and really high on everybody else's, or opposite, some Libras are really, self-absorbed and they don't care about anyone else. That can happen, this flip-flopping back and forth, this extreme tilts of the scales, and we always want to try and bring it right back here. This is interesting because I'm just realizing now, I literally did a first grade lesson with my son today on balance. We were learning about balancing scales, and I just think that that's kind of interesting that then today I felt inspired to record this video. So what we're doing during Libra season as creatives is we are bringing more balance to our relationships, to our process, to our spaces. We are adding beauty, we are adding peace, and we are staying open and objective, highly minded as we receive feedback on our creative outputs. Okay, so I hope that helps you really get a sense for how you can embody Libran energy in your creativity. Now, this is the part where we look at the now, right? Because that's kind of like a good general guide to Libran energy for creatives. But what about from September 22nd, 21 to October 22nd, 21? Like, what in this space do we need to know in terms of the energy? So I'm going to pull some tarot cards. I have just a basic, this is a radiant white deck that I like to use. So just a nice, I felt really called to that because I kept hearing like, Libra doesn't want to mince, like it's not up for interpretation. We want the classic, we want nice, clear understanding of the energies. So that's what we're going to pursue. And I'm going to just shuffle the deck here. I'm really just going to tune into the collective, the Awakened Creators Collective. We're going to tune into, it's interesting I said turn into the energies of this particular time and space. And we're going to ask and call in our guides to bring us messages of the highest light and love to illuminate this Libra season 2021. So what do we need to know in the Awakened Creators Collective for Libra season 2021? And this is just going to be general messages. Of course, it won't resonate for every single person, but just kind of tune in to yourself, tune into the energies and apply it as it resonates with you. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start getting some cards and really see what this Libra season is going to bring us. Oh, and they just went flying. So let's see. How funny is this? She flew right out of the gates, guys. You can't make this stuff up. Right out of the gates. She's here. Justice. Perfect. This is the card of Libra. No minced words was what I heard. Get the Rider-Waite deck. That's it. Along her side came strength. And I shouldn't say her because justice is an androgynous energy. Because it is so balanced, it is a perfectly balanced masculine and feminine simultaneously. So let me correct my metaphysical genders here. So we have then the strength energy. Beautiful already. I can really feel like things are coming into alignment for a lot of us, which is fan-frickin-tastic, I'll tell you that. We have the Lovers, another balance, card of balance. This is very interesting. And we have the Six of Swords. Some air, right? Of course. So I'm going to place these as a 4x4, which is what I feel called to do right now, and how to read them. So across the top, we have justice and strength. Now, already out the gate, we have 2 major Arcana cards and the Lovers also. So 3 major Arcana cards for Libra season. So major changes happening. And what are these things happening? They are related to justice and strength. So again, really embodying that rebalancing. Justice is going to, if you allow it, to rebalance the imbalances in your life, right? They hold a sword in one hand. This is a sword of truth. This is an Ace of Swords. This is our authentic soul knowing, untainted by ego, untainted by the past, untainted by our hopes and dreams for the future. This is a pure truth. Okay, and this pure truth though is a sword, which means you may be called to make some cuts this Libra season, and in particular, because I've done a 4x4, it's above the Lovers, you may be called to cut some relationships, right? You may just be at this point though evaluating which relationships to cut. You might feel inclined, and I even put this in my Instagram post, to wait till Scorpio season to actually make those cuts, because Scorpio is all about boundaries and drawing lines. So if you feel so inclined, you might want to wait till Scorpio season to actually break up or to actually like move on. But at this point, we're definitely observing where we need to make some changes. So that's very interesting. And I also feel like these are imbalances within ourselves too, because the Lovers card for me, I have a problem with how it's presented online, because everybody wants to know about love, right? You go to tarot readers that pull the Lovers card and they always talk about how it's your lover and it's romance and it's blah, blah, blah. This is all relationships, including the relationship within yourself. Your own feminine and masculine energy needing to be brought into balance, okay? If you understand the metaphysical nature of the universe as a great reflector, I love that Arcade Fire song, it's a reflector, it's a reflector. You should look it up if you haven't. It's a great song. But reflector and reflections in your life, particularly relationships with other people, are mirrors to how we internalize aspects of ourselves. I'll give you an example. A lot of times in my own personal relationships, when I am giving someone advice, and this happens a lot as a parent, when I talk to my child, I very often listen to the words that come out of my mouth, and I remember that my child is a reflection of my own inner child, and therefore the information I have just shared to them, the wisdom I'm trying to pass on to them, is advice that I need to take myself. This also sometimes comes into play, and I'm not saying always, right? But often I will find that when I'm working too hard, when my inner child feels like starved for attention, so my outer child also begs me to play with them or tells me that they feel like I haven't played with them in a long time. And sometimes I'll catch it and I'll go, that's a reflector. You're right. I haven't taken any time to play. You're right. And this is where I'm getting chills. This is where our children really can teach us, especially as creatives, because we are meant to live our life through the heart of our inner child. And so if you are creative that has children or is around children, pay extra close attention to what those children tell you they need, because it may also reflect what your own inner child is asking for from you. Now, of course, we have a divine masculine and feminine here in this depiction, and I remind you too, we have these elements within ourselves. Tarot can be read on many levels. It can be read on the mundane, very literally, and it can be read very metaphysically. I tend to be somewhere kind of in between, but for the sake of this next thing I'm going to say, I'm going to read this very metaphysically. So within yourself, you have masculine and feminine energies. Your masculine energy is the part of you that wants to push out, it wants to produce, it wants to create art, it wants to sign the deal, it wants to write the book, it wants to do the work, okay? The feminine part of yourself wants to flow with the creative process. It wants to feel, touch, taste, and sense the creative experience. It also wants to intuit when is the right time to make a move. It's really listening and being in tune with spirit. So we want to make sure that those parts of ourselves internally are really balanced. If they're out of balance, it is very common, again, that the reflectors in your life will start to reflect those to you. If you have a masculine energy in your life, for example, that feels very domineering and demanding, where might you also be very domineering and demanding in your own internal state? If, for example, you have someone in your life, regardless of gender, who tends to take more from you than they give, where are you internally inside of yourself never giving to yourself? Is that you're always, giving to other people, but you're never giving to yourself? You will attract those to you who continue to take, because that's the message that we're sending vibrationally to the universe. So be very mindful. Here we have justice. High-minded. What did I say? Surveying. Open and objective. Looking, examining relationships. Internal relationships between your own masculine and feminine energies. Relationships with your own external mirrors and reflectors. Okay? So take that time this season, Libra season, to examine where you need to make some cuts. And I know you're going to make those cuts. You're going to make some very brave cuts, actually, because the next thing we have is the Strength and the Six of Swords. This is beautiful. So the Strength card, coupled with the Justice across the top, this is, I think, our highest, greatest potential, is that we're really sitting in this divine energy where we can see what needs to be cut. And then Strength is asking us to embody our higher self and to tame our ego, our lion that wants to roar and thrash and cause a mess and bite. We're gonna just calm that part of ourselves down real nice, right? So here's the part where we bring balance to within ourselves. We bring in divine peace and beauty. No stress allowed. We're going to be very gentle, very kind to ourselves. And we're also, though, going to really embody our higher self during this time. What do I want to say about this? I really feel like the egoic part of you, which is really just the part of you that overly identifies with your identity, it's looking up to you. It's looking up to your higher self, and it's asking for you to help tame it. It really is, because it feels out of control, and it feels like, I don't know what's happening in this crazy world. And your higher self's job, if nothing else, is to keep that part of yourself remembering the divine truth. Right here, right? The victory is already yours. The divine is with you always. Everything is working out perfectly. I am going to just mention, in case it helps someone, I feel called to, so maybe it will, that I currently am reading a fantastic book. I know it's been out for forever, and I'm just barely now starting to read it, but it's really helping me. And it's The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. You've probably heard of it. I even have it right here. But this particular book is is really helping me. And I'll tell you what, I'm actually a Libra rising, and I have a lot of air in my chart. And so I'm very in my head a lot, constantly evaluating and analyzing and blah, 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 living in the past, oscillating into the future, like never being present. That's kind of been my struggle that was revealed to me during Virgo season that I'm really taking action on to try and rebalance. So this is an opportunity for us to really stay present and remember and embody those higher aspects and that higher level of understanding, that higher consciousness is the word I'm grasping for, of our situation. And through that higher level of consciousness, we can rise above the swinging pendulum back and forth of those energies of, emotional, waves. And actually that is one of the wizard's tricks in the Kabbalion, if you've ever read it. If not, there you go. That's the little seed that you need. Go read the Kabbalion and read the rules of the universe, and your life will change truly. So that being said, we really, when we elevate our consciousness to that higher level, we can allow this flames and sloshing of emotions and egos to kind of exist down here, and we just observe it and are non-reactive to it. Okay, so that being said, I feel like you're going to actually take action here. You're going to actually take action. We've got our character here, our divine masculine has a wand and is using it to paddle away. And we're paddling away our perspective. We are leaving behind some old way of seeing things. We are leaving behind the conflicts. We are leaving behind the imbalances, and we are moving into balanced, peaceful waters. Do you see how peaceful and still the waters are? Moving away from the ripples. Okay, we've got our divine feminine, our inner child with us. We're taking everybody, nobody's left behind, and we are moving on, my friends. We are moving on. So across the bottom, I have the Lovers and the Six of Swords. So for those of you who are making cuts in relationships, I think this is pretty straightforward, right? You might be moving on from some old relationships. However, this is also, remember, a representation of inner imbalance in masculine and feminine energies as well. So I feel like a part of yourself will take action to bring balance, especially if you were imbalanced in the mental arena. That feels good. I'm going to get one more card, an overcard, to kind of bring all of these together. They just plopped out. There's actually two. I'm like sitting here trying to rearrange these cards and make them symmetrical. I told you I was a Libra rising. Balance. Okay, so here are our central themes. We have the King of Swords and the Three of Swords. So I think what's really happening is our King of Swords, our mental acumen, our intellectual connection, the aspect of ourselves that holds wisdom and knowledge that we've accumulated through our lifetimes here, is seeing things quite clearly during this Libra season, or by the end of Libra season. I feel like you will see things clearly. And what are you seeing clearly? You're seeing the Three of Swords clearly. And this is cool because the Three of Swords can relate to disappointment, and especially for creatives, this could be creative disappointment. Our creativity comes from our heart. It is our heart. We talk about it like it's our children. We talk about it like it's our love. We talk about it like it is us, because our creativity stems from the heart chakra, the heart. And you may have in the past heard words, been stabbed, betrayed, even by yourself, right? You may have continued perpetuating that through negative self-talk, negative belief structures, doubts, self-doubt, and expectations of disappointment because of past disappointment. But the King of Swords is not having all that. He's healing that this month during Libra season. He's healing that, and he's saying, look, I see very clearly the pain that I've gone through in the past, and I know and understand with my sword of truth what's true for me now. This sword is pointing up, is connected to spirit, just like the Justice cards is, right? It is connected with spirit, and it is rising above. Again, just like the Strength card is. We are deciding in this moment during this Libra season to really start leaving behind these sorrows, these pains, and step into our truth, the true truth that we really truly know about ourselves and our lives, about what's possible for us creatively. And this Libra season is an opportunity for us to really start to bring some more balance to where we may have self-sacrificed, where we may have accepted less than we were worth, where we may have thrown ourselves under the bus, where we may have closed ourselves off from opportunities, where we may have interrupted our own creative journeys with pain and doubt and expectations that that's going to continue. So again, we are really swords heavy when it comes to this Libra season, which makes complete sense. We're in the element of air. But I find that very interesting, and especially that the other two cards are this more high-minded perspective of things. We've got the Archangel here surveying, looking over it all, making sure everything happens as it should. So yeah, I think that again, you might be having to make some tough decisions, or at least tough as compared to what you're used to. But I would say that if you are resonating with this, and you already kind of have a sense of what needs to go, what's just not serving you, whether that's an external representation or an internal. And that's really what happens, right? Is that internally we decide, I'm not going to put up with this shit anymore. So then externally, the reflective mirror in our life that represents that taking the shit leaves. We just get rid of them. But it happened first because we got rid of that energy within ourselves, and we said, no, I'm not gonna allow myself to be talked to that way anymore. Begone, mirror. Because I'm not going to talk to myself that way anymore. And therefore, I'm not going to let anyone else talk to me that way anymore. Make the cuts you need to make. Remember to stay out of the ego, stay out of the emotions. Keep this is objective. You're making decisions based on your highest and greatest good. That's all. It's not personal. I'm sorry. Like my sensei says, I'm sorry, but I'll see you in heaven. Bye-bye. Gotta go. Gotta move on. I got things to do. I got a creative life to live. I cannot carry you around with me any longer. So whether that be a relationship, a job, or a way of speaking to yourself or treating yourself, something this Libra season is moving on. We're moving on from, and we are moving on to bigger and better things. Okay? Well, so I hear you all saying, well, what's going to happen next? Let's pull one more card, because I'm still kind of figuring out how I want to do these readings. So let's pull one more card for what's next is Scorpio season. So after we accomplish all of this, what do we have to look forward to? Why, the Queen of Wands. Beautiful energy. This is some self-assured, self-loving, and just trusting. This is a creative powerhouse. Beautiful, beautiful Queen of Wands energy. And it's so very intuitive. We've got the cat here. And the Queen of Wands she's ready to act. She's got her little foot sticking out, but she's not going to move yet. She's not going to move. She's just like a cat. She sits. She surveys. And when the prime opportunity arrives, She just snatches it, right? So this is our opportunity to really start to embody our inner Queen of Wands, whether you're male or female, it does not matter. This is your feminine essence, the essence of you that is intuitive, is receptive. She is ready for whatever comes next because she knows she can handle it. She's got her wand in her hand. She is ready to go. She feels guided by spirit with all that beautiful yellow, cloaked in her higher self with that white cape, and a sunflower in her hand. Joy, creativity, love, just ready to go. So I think that you're going to feel really freaking proud of yourself by the end of the Libra season, which is October 22nd. That is my prediction. You can write it down. You can tell me it didn't happen. You can tell me it did. I don't know. I don't care. I just love you so much. And I thank you so much for being here, for being a part of this beautiful community. If you're not already following over on Instagram, please do. I post there very regularly, and you'll get a lot more content than I'm able to produce here on YouTube. But I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a like, share it with another astrologically minded creative in your life who might enjoy it, and stick around for next time. Subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video is posted. I love you and I thank you for watching. Blessings to you. Let me know in the comments how your Libra season turns out. Bye.